So as you guys can see, there are a ton of different types of sharpening tools out there on the market, and it can be really overwhelming if you're just starting to look and see what's out there when you're trying to get your own sharpening supplies. So I'm going to very quickly go over all these things like oil stones, whetstones, diamond plates, and whatnot, so you have a better idea what you might want to get and why you'd want to get them. Alright guys, so the three most basic options you're going to see online are oil stones, whetstones, and diamond plates. Each one has their own pros and cons and really are the foundation of any sort of sharpening system. So let's start off with oil stones. This is one that I've had forever. It's seen a ton of knives. In order to use them, you need honing oil lubricant. You want to do that, put it on there while you're sharpening, otherwise the steel might embed itself into the stone and then just cause it to not be useful anymore. Very easy to use. It's a non-porous stone, so the oil won't soak into it, it'll just sit on the surface. These are usually cheaper and more durable than other options out there, but because of the oil, it can get a bit messy. That's probably why you see some stains on my workbench too. Some of the darker spots are from the oil stone. Next, probably the one that you're going to see the absolute most online are whetstones. They use water as a lubricant, so you want to let it soak in water for about 15 minutes and then keep a cup on hand to pour on the top. They are very porous. They sometimes just suck up the water like sponges. But just like the oil stones, they are typically cheaper. And since it's mainly water and not oil, I'm going to say it's less messy, but it still has some mess to it. Only problem is it's not very durable. The whetstones can wear down, and a lot of them do come with an extra block that's meant for resurfacing and making it flat again in case you get a dip. All right, and so now diamond plates. Diamond plates use lapping fluid as their lubricant. You can also just use water with like some drop of dish soap in there. Just basically make it so that, again, the steel does not get embedded into the surface here and rendered unusable. Diamond plates, since they are usually a bit thinner than that of like the stone counterparts, they benefit from having a holder, and like a rubberized one prevents it from moving around. One of the things I really like about the diamond plates is they are durable, or at least the nicer ones are. They stay nice and flat, unlike the whetstone where it can wear down and have dips, and same with oil stones. If you're too aggressive on it, you can damage them. But the problem is the good ones are quite expensive. You can get the cheaper ones out there, but the dirt cheap ones are hit or miss. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're half good, sometimes they're half bad. Like one side of it has no diamond abrasive on it. Let's face it, sometimes you just need a quick and temporary sharpening solution, or you're on a serious budget and you don't want to spend too much. You can always use sandpaper. I personally like using wet-dry automotive sandpaper, primarily because they are designed to be used for water and you can use that as your lubricant. They also seem to be more durable and hold their abrasiveness better than that of like the regular sandpaper for wood. It's a great option. Just glue it to a flat surface, just pour some water on there as a lubricant. It's dirt cheap, replaceable, and it actually does last a good amount of time. Alright, so for most knife users, all you're going to need is just a basic stone. You won't need anything else because you're not trying to make it hone razor sharp. However, others like us wood carvers, we want to create a nice razor's edge or even sharper than a razor's edge tool, and that's where leather strops come into play. Leather strops are just basically a firm piece of leather with a honing compound applied to the surface like this. Sometimes the leather just comes loose in like one of the carving kits. Just glue it to a piece of wood and it's really, really easy to use. Just apply the compound and literally just start stropping with it. Very, very handy. Great tool to have on hand for when you're wood carving, and it helps keep them maintained over time as well. Alright, so I have several other tools that I want to go over here, but if you need a step-by-step guide for what grits to use and when to use them, check out my 5-step sharpening guide. It's a complete walkthrough on what to do. So if you guys are wood carvers and you're using gouges or like curved scoops like this, it will be beneficial to have something like a curved sharpening stone. Also, they sell leather strops that have these curves in there, including ones for like V gouges. This is the Flex Cut slip strop. Very useful. You get the curved edge on this side, a flat surface to apply your compound, curved surface to apply a compound, and parts where you can hone up the inside of your scoop. You can also find other ones online. I found this one on Etsy. I use it quite a bit, actually. You can see for my various size gouges and V-tools. They also sell whetstones as well, and various coarsenesses. They have longer ones, which I think are much better. I just grabbed my shorter one for the video, but these are great options if you have gouges and V-gouges for wood carvers. So that's probably what you're going to end up looking for. All right, let's go over some other tools, some of which I like and some I really don't use or even touch. Starting off with sharpening sticks. I find that these are a little bit inefficient compared to that of using like a stone for the amount of surface area that you have the blade touching at any given time. However, sharpening sticks like this are great for curved blades because when you're using just a stone, you have to rotate the edge on there. But on this one, you can see it has a curved edge. So every single time I'm sliding it down and I just hold the knife at the same position, you can see that it can hold the same angle edge on there almost effortlessly. So the sharpening sticks are useful and great for any curved blades. You're just gonna have to do more strokes than the regular stone. Guided sharpening systems, like this one is one from Lansky. I don't know how to say their name. The way these things work is you have multiple angles that are preset in here. Basically, you just find the angle that you want, stick the rod with the sharpening stone in there, and then you can just slide this along the edge. This is also great for curved edges because it maintains a very consistent angle the entire time, even when you're sliding across the edge. So it is very, very handy. This and other kits like it are pretty useful for those that are worried about not holding the same angle, but it is advisable to get ones with a bunch of different grits on it, and they're not exactly cheap, and they can be limiting sometimes. Like you can't match your exact edge on there, you have to create a new one. So that's something to consider. I don't have one of these, but I'm sure some of you might have seen it. It's like one of those rolling sharpeners. I think these are just way too expensive and they feel like a gimmick. They're not useful for anything like for smaller carving tools. They're just meant for bigger kitchen knives. So I say don't touch them if you're a wood carver and you're looking to sharpen your knives. I think they're just gonna waste your money, to be honest. And then finally, the little edge alignment quick sharpener things. These are good for kitchen knives. If I were to actually take this knife to this tool right now, and I will actually dull my knife. They're great for, like I said, realigning the edge for like kitchen knives and whatnot. That's what they're designed for. But for wood carving, it works best if your edge is way sharper than what this can actually bring. Now, for those of you that want a little bit more of an efficient option, you can use power sharpeners. They're great to have for leather shops, especially if you're doing like chisels and gouges and you're using a lot of different tools. If you're using it for grinding, it's going to take off a lot of metal really, really fast and has the potential to overheat your steel, which will ruin your tool's edge retention. They'll just basically remove the steel tempering and then make it soft, and you won't be able to hold the edges long anymore. I prefer doing it by hand myself just in case, plus it gives you a little bit more control over the edge of the tool. Now, if you know what sharpening supplies you need, but you want to see how to use them, check out my 5-step sharpening guide to walk you through exactly what to do and how to use the tools.